When it comes to buying a house, there's a lot of people involved wearing a lot of different hats. That's ridiculous. Let's get into this. Know your team. Just like in an organization, a sports team, the military, or even a nonprofit, everybody has their specific roles, specific responsibilities. This is going to be one of the things that we want to learn from the beginning. Who is playing the role on your team to get you into a house? So let's jump in and look at our team members to help get you into a home. The first phone call oftentimes is to the real estate agent. However, this is actually the second person that you want on your team, not the first person. For example, let's say you call the real estate agent, they go and show you 50 homes and you find your dream home. The world comes together. But then you realize, I don't even know if I can afford this house. Or something goes wrong in the lending process and that dream home doesn't become a reality. So the first team member that you want to call is your lender. I know it seems backwards, but the lender is the one that is going to be able to qualify you, tell you what you can afford, what is going to fit your price range before you go and look at houses. So this is where we're going to start. The first team member is called your loan officer, the mortgage banker, mortgage broker. They're all synonymous. They're all the same position. This is the quarterback of your transaction. When you talk to your loan officer, they're going to ask all sorts of in-depth questions, but they need to know that information in order to know what's going to work. They're going to be able to determine what loan programs are best for you, what you can actually afford before you go out and start looking for houses. Check out the bonus video as well of how to interview a great lender. Now that we talked about the loan officer as the quarterback of the transaction, let's go through the other members of the lending team. First, the loan coordinator or loan officer assistant, then the processor, then your file will go to the underwriter, and finally the closer. Your loan officer assistant or transaction coordinator is going to be working directly with you to get clear copies of certain financial documentation, personal employment history, income, debt, so that you're not missing dates, deadlines. They're making sure that they have all of your documentation on file so that nothing falls through the cracks. From there, your file is going to be moved to the processor. This typically happens after you get under contract on a property. The processor is the one that takes your file further. They're the ones that are going to verify employment, verify the credit, assets, and answer any other questions to make sure that the file is in primo condition to move to the underwriter. The underwriter is the final gatekeeper or decision maker on your file. Their goal is to work for the bank to assess the risk and make sure that they're providing a great loan for the bank. The underwriter goes through the entire file and lets you know if there's anything missing the second page of a bank statement or a clear copy of your driver's license. Oftentimes this comes back with what's called a conditional loan approval. As a side note, you will never be talking to the underwriter. Your processor, loan officer assistant, or transaction coordinator and loan officer will be your points of contact throughout the whole transaction. And finally, after we get it back from underwriting, your file moves to the closer.
The closer.
It's the closer's responsibility to balance all of the numbers to the penny, to know exactly what you're going to be bringing to closing and where every fee is associated. Now that we have the money figured out, you get to go find your dream house. This is where you get to set up your search on location, on size, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. Do you need a garage, a backyard? This is where the fun begins. This is where you're going to talk to a real estate agent or a realtor or buyer's agent. They're all one and the same. This is our next team member, and it's such a vital role. They are the ones that represent you in the process of buying a home. They're the ones that negotiate price, timeline, inspection items, and they're going to handle all the paperwork. With all of the details that go into it, it is imperative that you pick a great one. It's so important that we made a whole nother video just on this topic on how to vet and interview the best real estate agents. So check that out. Another person who's part of the process is the listing agent. The listing agent is the one that represents the seller. It's very customary and appropriate that all communication goes through your real estate agent to the listing agent. So you're not going to have much contact or communication, but it's important for you to know their role. Many real estate agents are going to have a transaction coordinator. This is the role similar to the loan transaction coordinator, where they're responsible for the details. They're going to make sure that all contracts are signed, the dates and deadlines are met, that they have everything that they need from you. They're the ones working hand in hand with the real estate agent. If your real estate agent does not have a transaction coordinator, don't worry. They're the ones that are taking care of all the details themselves. Now let's talk about the title company or escrow company. This is a third party that plays a vital role to the transaction. They're responsible for searching and verifying all title-related issues. This could include ownership, tax information or tax liens, other judgments or liens that are tied to the property. They're the ones that are making sure they deliver clean title to the new buyer, which is you. They're also looking out for the lender to make sure that their lien comes in first position on this property. They're the ones that collect and disperse all the funds of the transaction. They act as the intermediary between buyer and seller and lender. They're the ones that protect everybody and make sure everybody is covered. Depending on what state you're in, you may also have an attorney that helps with closing. This would be under the umbrella of the title company to make sure that all of the details and the documents are correct. So we just covered some of the main team members, but there's a few more that it's important to know. For example, the home inspector. The home inspector is a third-party person or company that after you get under contract on a house is going to go through the entire physical house to make sure that it's not a lemon. They're going to be looking at electrical and structural issues, the appliances, the major systems of the home so that you know exactly what you're getting into. Likewise, once you're under contract on a property, an appraiser is going to be hired. The appraiser is hired through your lender to go out to the property, take photos, and evaluate the property based on like comparables in the area, other houses that have sold. They're going to compare things like square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, location even, to determine if the property that you're buying is worth what you're paying. As a side note, you're never going to talk to the appraiser, and that's by design. The government has implemented specific rules to keep the valuation of the property as unbiased as possible. Now that we know all the team members that are going to be participating in the whole transaction, we also need to know some of the terms. It'd be incredibly boring for me to go through each and every term, so we've come up with an extensive list that you can download and use as a resource. All right, I know that's a lot of information, so feel free to rewatch the video or reach out with any questions. Thanks for watching.